Cancer, the one word no one ever wants to hear their doctor say. It's a terrible affliction that unfortunately kills millions of people every single year, and there's a good chance that you at home probably know someone who has been affected by this disease as well. Seeing as how horrible this disease can truly be, it takes a special kind of terrible person to try and fake cancer for sympathy, but unfortunately there seems to be no end to those who are willing to try it. Earlier this month, an influencer named Madison Russo was convicted for faking cancer and received a slap on the wrist with no jail time for doing so. However, the individual we're going to be talking about today is far more evil in her attempts to use a fake cancer story to get herself out of punishment for another crime she committed. The individual I'm referring to is known as Robin Niceta, and the story related to Robin faking a cancer diagnosis starts back in January 2022 when another lady named Danielle Jurinsky, who was a city council member from Aurora, Colorado, called into a local radio station and insulted the city of Aurora's chief of police.
If you want to quote something, Chief Vanessa Wilson is trash.
Wow. Okay. Hold on a minute. I got to get a drink of water.
Drink some water, Stefan. Get ready. Get
Wow.
ready. This is my hometown we're talking about, and those who threaten to destroy it or do harm to Aurora, just know that I'm here. I'm here.
The day after Danielle insulted Chief Vanessa Wilson on the radio, an anonymous tip was made to Child Services claiming that Danielle was physically abusing her 2-year-old son. Police investigated and found no evidence of any current or past abuse, which led to investigators looking into the anonymous false tip that was made. This tip was eventually found to have been placed by Robin Niceta, who was in a romantic relationship with Chief Vanessa Wilson and appears to have done this as payback for her girlfriend being insulted on the radio. Robin actually worked at the Child Protection Services that received the anonymous tip about Danielle and apparently used her own cell phone to make the call. She did a poor job at covering her tracks after making the false accusations and was soon after charged with a felony attempt to influence a public servant and misdemeanor false reporting of child abuse. Investigators dug deeper into Robin's past and unfortunately uncovered a history of Robin abusing her position with Child Services to try and coerce other women into relationships with her, and if they rejected her, she would have their children taken away from them by Child Services. I can't stress enough what a horrible and manipulative individual Robin Niceta truly is. Several women did end up losing their children based on recommendations Robin made, and now all those cases have to be looked at again to see if those actions were justified or if they were retaliation for rejecting Robin's advances. Things actually get worse from there because Robin's former girlfriend Kristen then came forward and sued Police Chief Vanessa Wilson, claiming the officer abused her powers and had her arrested for domestic abuse against Robin in 2021. That arrest led to Kristen losing her job as a nurse, and her 6-year-old daughter was taken away from her and given to Robin to take care of temporarily, as the daughter had a history growing up with Robin as her second mom. A bomb threat had also been made to the social services building Robin worked at, and it is now also believed to be connected to Robin and is being investigated as well. With all this information uncovered, it looked like a slam dunk case for the prosecution, and Robin would be spending years behind bars. But that all changed on March 30th during a hearing for the case when Robin's lawyers informed the court that she was incompetent to stand trial after she was recently diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor known as a glioblastoma. Robin appeared virtually at the hearing and was unable to speak or respond to questions due to the fast-growing brain tumor, and it was even reported she began drooling on herself during her appearance. Robin's lawyers provided detailed evidence of MRI scans which showed her tumor and provided the phone number and address of the hospital and doctor that were currently treating her. The judge in the case agreed that Robin was unfit to stand trial and indefinitely postponed the case so that Robin could focus on fighting her brain tumor. Danielle, the woman who had been falsely accused by Robin, believed she was faking the entire cancer story and began talking about this publicly, which created a firestorm in the local news because at the time the public believed she was being cruel to a woman who was now most likely months away from death.
And Brian, you talked to Niceta and her family.
In that interview, Niceta really didn't say much, but these medical records provided to CBS Colorado from her family seem to support what came out in court last month, that Niceta appears to have a cancerous brain tumor that may make her unfit to stand trial. We showed these MRI images and medical records to Jurinsky. who wasn't having any of it.
There's no authentic signatures. Nothing's notarized.
So looking at these medical records does not convince you that she has a brain tumor and is incapacitated?
No, I'm not convinced. There's zero chance that I believe anything that comes from her.
The medical documents shown in that news report were given to the local news by Robin's mother, Janice Dudley, as she wanted to put an end to Danielle's claims that her daughter was faking brain cancer. Unfortunately for Robin, this proved to be the fatal mistake in her cancer hoax. After those documents were shown on television, an actual doctor saw them, and believing there was something off, posted them on Reddit to the medicine subreddit, where over 50 medical professionals concurred that these documents appeared to be fake. As I'm not a doctor, I'll leave the explanation as to how to spot they were fake to an actual doctor who did a video on this case a few months ago.
Why did those of us on r/medicine think the brain MRI was fake? There are several major indicators. First, the tumor appears to move. In the coronal image, the tumor's location, shown here in blue, is relatively lateral, located in the temporal lobe, where it coincidentally would be compressing her amygdala. But in the sagittal views, the location shown in red is in the midline and a little higher. Second, on the sagittal views, despite them being different slices of her brain, the tumor appears remarkably similar or even identical. Third, and for me this was the clincher, there is no distortion of the surrounding brain tissue. Most symptoms of a brain tumor aren't caused by the cancer itself, instead they're caused by the tumor compressing normal structures and triggering adjacent edema and inflammation.
Now that clip comes from the YouTube channel Strong Medicine, who did an excellent job breaking down the science behind this case, and I'll have a link to his video in the description. Eric Strong, the doctor who runs that channel, forwarded his findings to the prosecutor in Robin's case, and this began another investigation which uncovered that Robin's entire cancer story was a lie. A fake Facebook page for the hospital Robin was supposedly receiving treatment from had been created just months before and was linked to the IP address of Robin and her mother. The phone number of the doctor who was supposedly providing care to Robin was actually a cell phone number that belonged to a phone that was bought by the credit card of Robin's mother, Janice Dudley. After all this new information was uncovered, Robin Niceta was arrested and is now facing 10 additional charges related to the fake cancer claims that may actually put her in prison for far longer than what she would have received for her original charges in the defamation case from earlier.
Ms. Niceta, did you and your mother conspire to submit false documents to the court?
Robin Niceta didn't have much to say as New Mexico deputies walked her out in handcuffs.
Did you and your mother submit false documents to the court, Ms. Niceta?
And didn't want to answer questions from our investigative producer.
Ms. Niceta, did you ever have brain cancer?
Now the good news doesn't end there, because Robin's mother Janice was arrested and charged in this case as well, and is now facing years in prison alongside her daughter for her role in this case.
Janice Grace Dudley turned herself into the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. The 67-year-old is the mother of Robin Niceta. She's facing multiple charges, including attempting to influence a public servant. These charges are linked to their daughter's indictment and new criminal charges.
Since Janice was arrested, she has since turned on her daughter and claimed she had no idea that Robin was faking her cancer, but since they were apparently staying together after her diagnosis and her credit card was used to buy the fake number for the phony doctor, it doesn't appear the authorities are buying her story, and she will most likely get years in prison for this as well. A final piece of good news is that just a few days ago, Robin was back in court and finally in trial for her original case of making the false abuse allegations against Danielle. I'm happy to say that Robin seems to have made a full recovery from her brain cancer and was able to appear coherent in court without any complications. It really is a miracle she was able to recover so quickly from a near-fatal brain tumor. Unfortunately, the jury wasn't feeling any sympathy for her, and she was found guilty of making the false allegations against Danielle and will now face years in prison for that crime.
A decision has been reached in the trial of Robin Niceta. The jury found the former Arapahoe County social worker guilty of filing a false child abuse claim against an Aurora City Councilwoman.
And Denver 7 reporter and attorney Jessica Crawford is following this verdict. She joins us live now from the newsroom with details. Jessica?
Well, prosecutors called this a case of revenge and retaliation. Today, a jury found Robin Niceta guilty on 2 counts. Again, false report of a child abuse claim and an attempt to influence a public servant. Now, for background, Robin Niceta is accused of filing a false child abuse claim against Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky. She did that after the councilwoman criticized former Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson on a radio show. At that time, Niceta and Wilson were dating, and Niceta was working as a social worker. Well, throughout the trial, Niceta's lawyer claimed Wilson was the person who truly made that claim.
On top of all of that, Danielle filed a civil suit against Robin and was awarded a $3 million settlement for the false allegations. But now that Robin is facing decades behind bars, and I don't believe she has millions of dollars, she will most likely not get to see any of those funds. Robin is also facing a class action lawsuit pertaining to the women she harassed during her time as a social worker, so it does look like Robin's life is now effectively over. I really don't see how she could ever recover from the multitude of lawsuits and charges now being leveled against her for years of horrible behavior and lies. When the dust all settles, I truly believe that Robin Niceta will go down as one of the most horrible people I have ever covered on this channel, and her actions ruined countless lives and will most likely take years to uncover all the horrible things this woman has actually done.